Okay, this is Steven Zahner. My address is 104 Ralph Drive. My telephone number is 919-481-1883. I am going to describe what the situation is with Maynard Pond in Cary, North Carolina. My present location is at R.S. Dad Dunham Park, 519 Walnut Street. There used to be a tennis court back here in the back, where you can see they're doing construction right now. They took out all the tennis courts and they're going to improve it quite significantly. So, my main concern is Maynard Pond downstream or through the woods. This is where it all begins, at this particular site. Right now it's fenced off, construction zone. Unfortunately, it's not a very well lit construction area or a well signed construction area according to any OSHA construction project. There should be signs saying hard hats must be worn and other things warning people to stay away. But that's besides the point. This is from Court Improvements, Town of Cary, 316th North Academy Street. I imagine that's where you contact the people, and the contractor is Scotia Construction. I sure hope they do a good job. So let's begin. The street I'm panning over is called Walnut Street. It goes all the way to the right. And from here, I can pan, it goes all the way downhill from the left. Okay, what the concern is, and the problem we are having, is the water flowing from uphill there, way past that sign, flowing down this way. A lot of cars coming. But anyway, I'm going to stand here in the middle of the road. I don't see any cars coming. Anyway, water flows from down the street all the way down here and is supposed to flow into this particular drain right here at the park. Inside this drain, you can see inside this drain is totally plugged up, and it's plugged up, completely plugged up. What's supposed to happen is all the pollution, all the oils coming down off the street is supposed to go into this plugged up drain, and it doesn't. What happens is it bypasses this drain around the curb here, around the curb with such force, and it all flows right now into this parking lot and eventually winds up all piled up in that corner right there where you see the wash tub, the bathroom, and from there it leaks into that park area and back eventually into our area and into the pond. For whatever reason, this drain on Walnut Street is not in operation and is plugged up, and you cannot see the drain hole at all. It's supposed to go through the drain hole into this creek bed right there, and as well you can see someone plugged up the other end of the drain. So I'm going to climb through the fence area, underneath the fence area here, and show everybody where all the water is supposed to be flowing. Somebody has plugged this drain up for whatever reason. So the oils coming off the cars, the dirt, the mud coming off the lawns, the fertilizers is supposed to come through this here area into this plugged up zone, plugged up drain, instead of going through the park area and just flooding the whole park area. It's supposed to run down here. Let me back up a little bit. Somebody plugged this up. It doesn't look like it's done professionally, or they would have just capped the pipe off. This is the main water feed to our Maynard Pond detention, stormwater detention pond, which is downstream. The water is supposed to be flowing down this little creek here. Actually, this creek should be a lot bigger, a lot deeper, because as much water flows through here. As a matter of fact, it rained real hard the other day, and you could see where the water is still standing over there. It just floods this whole system over here. Eventually goes through woods, all mud. Okay, what's supposed to happen is supposed to be going underneath this little bridge here, which should be a lot deeper. You can't have a lot of water going through a 2-inch bridge, and actually no sense building a bridge if you're going to have just a little bit of water. And on the other side of this bridge is supposed to be the outlet. Now if you look on this side of the bridge, you get the same problem. 2 inches, 4 inches maybe, it's closed off. This area should be nicely made into a nice creek. It's dry. There should be rocks here, and then from here the water is supposed to flow quite rapidly. They could put it in pipe if they wanted to. If they don't want to make a creek out of it, they can make a nice drain pipe into this other bridge underneath this tiny little hole, which is, I see, is plugged up as well. Through this hole here, into this section here, and it's supposed to flow underneath here, which again you can see is about 2 inches. You know, can't get too much water in that. Again, this is the main water supply for the stormwater detention pond. So as of now, the water continues, supposed to be flowing through here, flowing through here, and it used to go, and here's the park they're building. They built a little retention fence here. As you can see right down here, the water is flooded. So this section of the park gets flooded. Then the water is supposed to follow this creek alongside this fence, which I'm not going to walk that way quite yet, flowing fast into these woods. These woods is a natural resources from the state of North Carolina, this whole wooded section, and there's a spring back here. As you can see, the creek continues to go, and pollution and cans and all kinds of stuff are in this little small creek bed. Then from here, you can see, follow this a little further, and you can see it's very thick. It's very thick. But you can see all kinds of trash back here coming off the roads, and it smells quite funky. Unfortunately, at this point, I can't get through this. It's too thick for me. So let me see if I can get around this way. There's briars back here. I'm getting stuck. Ouch. And the water's supposed to be flowing this way. Okay. I made it out of this section. What they did from the new park section, I apologize for this camera action. Water is supposed to be flowing in this park, in this natural zone, but all you can see is cans, bottles, trash, paper, through this little trail. And here's the park section with the little barricade to keep the mud out from flowing into this section. Boy, I didn't realize how many briars are back here. Again, you see all kinds of trash back here. The water should be flowing and filtering from this area here all the way through the woods. And I'm going to just walk back there, and I still see plenty of trash, plenty of cups, plenty of bottles. I'm basically following this fence line right here, but the water should be flowing through the woods, still off of Walnut Street, called stormwater, finally entering the stormwater detention pond, which I'm almost through the hard part right now. They did build this little berm, and they're building another berm over there to keep the mud from flowing into this section that eventually immediately goes into the lake. Okay, as I'm walking through this natural preserve, tree preserve, that the natural wildlife and preservation controls, there's a spring back here. Anyway, it's very mucky, very soft, and very wet. This area is supposed to be getting rid of pollutants, rainwater pollutants being washed off the street. Okay. As well as if I walk into here a little further, you will see more water flooded. This is where the spring is fed from, going into the park area. And it just rained the other day, so it's all brown, it's all mucky. Anyway, it goes through the woods here. I don't know if I can get through here or not, because it's getting wetter and wetter. I might not be able to get through here. I'll try my best. But you can see all the riffraff, my gosh, it's very, very muddy back here. I can't get through this particular section. It would be impossible for me to do that, because right now I'm about a foot deep in water. Not a foot, maybe about 15 inches. But I'm still walking, trying to find high places. This water eventually is supposed to stream quite fast through. Oh, I don't like getting my feet wet like this, but that's okay. I didn't wear my boots. Okay, so it seems like I'm working my way through this mess, through this mulchy mess, which is supposed to be wetlands and protected by the government. Okay, I almost made my way through. So the water is supposed to be flowing hard. These woods are supposed to be acting like a filtration system before it gets to the pond, but it has become a swamp because of the water somehow is being held back. And that's what we're going to try to find out. Why this water is being held back and not able to flow. One of the reasons was because over there on Walnut Street, one of the drains was plugged up, so it doesn't have the flow it should have. And that's the main flow. And all this has to do with pollution control heading to Maynard Pond. Okay, I'm almost to the end of this little section. Here you see a fence, and here you see almost to the end. I hope I don't slip down. Okay, so here we are. All this water, all this forest area is controlled by the National Wildlife and Forest as a preserved area. The water should be flowing. It looks like someone built a little berm right here to keep the water flowing back here. It should be flowing down this little creek here, into a supposedly creek that should be a creek that is not a creek. It should be flowing this way. Okay, this creek is too small. This house always gets flooded for years now. The town of Cary has nothing to do, or has not ever done anything about the flood in this particular property. They built a new home here that's restricting some of the water. You can't have all the water flowing down this little 2-inch creek without flooding this property right here. Impossible. This creek needs to be bigger to allow more water flow. The natural wood section needs to be cleaned out a little bit to allow the water to flow better and cleaner. So by the time it reaches this area, it should be relatively clean water, which it's not. It's a mucky mess when it comes out of here. Okay, still 15 years later, this property gets flooded big time. And I'm sure the town knows what property this is. And I'll get that address later. Then they built another home here. I'll give you that address in a little while, but it's right on Ralph Drive. It's supposed to flow through this creek here, where you can see it's bogged down. And again, they have maybe a 1-foot creek. This section, this backyard gets flooded as well on every rain. This creek is insufficient. This creek is insufficient for the amount of water flow coming from that whole area. They expect this one little creek to hold all that water. And I would say it's about maybe 6 or 7 inches deep by about maybe 12 inches wide. That's why this home here gets flooded as well. It should be a nice creek, maybe about 30 inches, or even a pipe. And you can see this stagnant water in here, and the creek goes on around here. The rocks are already over here on the side, so the creek at one point was bigger, but it's gotten over the years filled with muck and mud because it was never built correctly from the beginning. Again, this property gets flooded every rain. The water flows down here in this little creek, not only down here but all the way off to the sides. The town of Cary needs to make this creek bed bigger and so it could run faster, so these two homes don't get flooded and enough volume. Okay, I'm not sure exactly where I left off, but I think I was talking about these two homes. And this is the small little creek. All that water from these woods, that should be a real professional creek flowing through this area. As you can see, right here is plugged up, so you're not going to get the flow you deserve, the pond deserves, the stormwater detention deserves, and nothing but mosquitoes are going to lay here. And these two homes, where I will give you the addresses in a little while. This should be a professional creek with rocks in it, flowing hard with good, clean water being filtrated by the natural wooded section that we just walked through. It's a buffer zone back there, filtration zone, but it's not. This is a small, tiny little creek, and it cannot possibly hold the volume. Impossible. And that's why this whole section back here does get flooded. The people have complained. Many people have complained. And I have complained. But now I'm complaining. And I see the water goes all the way up here to the left. This whole thing, since they built these two homes, and I'll give you the address of these homes right now. This is all mud. This is all mud back here, and it gets all filled up. Let me give you the address of these two homes. Okay. This is Walnut Street, and the address of this home here, beautiful home that doesn't deserve to be flooded, is 503 Walnut Street. And the next home next to it, that evidently raised their property in the back, I can see where they built the pool, so their property doesn't get flooded. The builder evidently built a berm around their property, is number 505 Walnut Street. Okay, so we're on Walnut Street right now. All the water from Walnut Street comes gushing down the street this way, heading this way, heading all the way down there. Let's continue our walk. The problem is getting worse by the lack of the engineering. The smell is getting worse by the lack of the engineering. The pond, detention pond, stormwater detention pond that's supposed to help with the polluted water heading downstream, is getting worse. The mold and mildew and mosquitoes are getting worse. Okay, so here's where I left off. This pond right here, this little creek bed, hello, is supposed to be flowing quite fiercely, especially during the rain time. And as you can see, it's plugged up. This is the Town of Cary's responsibility to keep this section clean. And they're not. The water at one time used to flow up to that about second post. Now you'd be lucky if you get a trickle all the way through the park, behind the homes, through the forest, down Walnut Street. You get a trickle of water that feeds the mouth of the stormwater detention pond, Maynard. So let's walk over here from this little creek that I just described. There is one drain here across the street. There is another drain here down the street that flows to this drain. And from this drain here, and from the drain across the street, let's see if that's plugged up. It probably is not. No, that looks pretty good down there. Anyway, these two converge. I hope I'm not confusing anybody. These two drains converge. Actually, three drains converge, and they head across the street into the mouth of Maynard Pond stormwater detention, or should I say, okay, here we go. Here's what the stormwater detention pond looks like as I'm speaking, as I'm taping. It's not very sunny, but it's nothing but a mucky, muddy, mildewy, fish-free, mosquito-infested mess. There is no, and stinky. There is no wildlife here. There is no fish here. It's nothing but dead. The big pipe on the right is supposed to be coming from Walnut Street through the woods, and the 3 other pipes come off of Ralph Drive that I just described. They look pretty clean. I was out here the other day in the rain. Nothing but mud was flowing. So these pipes used to flow hard with clear, clean water, pushing all this muck, all this stagnant water, all this polluted water, pushing it right into the mouth of the pond. No longer. There is not enough pressure. So there is no ducks, there is no geese, there are no birds, there are no frogs, there are no crickets. Nothing wants to live here as I'm walking behind the mouth of Maynard Pond. Stormwater detention facility run and controlled by the state of North Carolina, and it's supposed to be, Cary is supposed to be maintaining the drainage system. So there is not enough flow to get and break this up to keep it moving with clear water. And in the past 5 years it's gotten worse. I know it's getting dark right now and you probably get a reflection, but let me shoot over here and pan that way and you can see. I've had people come back here and they say, oh, it's just algae. It's just algae. That's their main line. No, it's just algae. It's not algae. It might be algae, but it's certainly not the proper algae. It's dead, stagnant algae. There are no bubbles in this lake. No turtles popping their heads up in this section of the pond. No ducks. Oh, I hear a cricket or something. No frogs, no bubbles. This is dead. And this is the section everybody wants to dredge for years now. Let's dredge this section. This is not where the pollutants go. As a matter of fact, you can see some of the wildlife starting to die already. The trees surrounding the pond are starting to die. At one time this was filled with fish. Okay, over the years they talk about dredging. This is the section they talk about dredging. But unfortunately this is not the section that needs to be dredged. It is the deep part of the pond that needs to be dredged, because all the pollutants wash down. They go into the deepest part of the pond and it settles. So downstream, Lake Johnson, Neuse River, and other contributors gets fresh water. not polluted water. Once again, no bubbles still, brown, mucky, smelly water. As I'm walking down further, I will continue. I think it might be best if I tape from this direction. All these home values, which is secondary, but the home value is being depreciated, which more importantly is the fish that are suffering, the water system that is suffering. That is most important. I see and I watch people, they don't catch any fish anymore. Oh, look at that, we have a few geese in the lake. How about that? Oh, and I hear a frog. Okay, there's some frog, there's a frog left. We used to have thousands of frogs. Here we go again. Nothing but black, dark, putrid water. It's getting darker at the moment, but I'm going to continue because I'm almost finished with this video. Let me walk around here where there's supposed to be another feed, another drain that's supposed to feed this pond. And two guys fishing right there. Unfortunately, they can fish all day long and they won't catch nothing. One time we had 10, 12 pound bass. Now we get these here bass. Oh, up. I just seen something fly over there. I don't know what that was. Was it geese? Could have been a duck. We used to have swans. We used to have kinds of white birds. But even back here, it's getting too dark. Even back here is nothing but a mucky green mess due to the fact that this inlet over here, as I'm walking to, is not being drained properly itself. Okay. There are 4 drains on this particular. I don't know if you can see them or not. There's 4 drains on this one. Again, it's mucky, it's putrid, and these drains do not produce a quarter of the water they once did. And this is another contributory going into the lake, which is being impeded again. I'm going to find out where these are being fed from. Okay, one of the places these are being fed from is right across the street, which is right here. Going through these here pipes, and you can see, if you can see, but again, it's filled up with mud and muck. I'm not going to walk down this here creek bed, but down here somewhere along the line, you can't even see anymore what I'm taping. Down here along this here path used to flow quite heavy all the way to almost the top of the bricks. Now those bricks hardly get wet. Once again, from here across the street into the pond. Again, needs to be cleaned out, and they need to figure out what's stopping this flow of water. For nothing but mud and muck comes out. The other two pipes that it's supposed to be draining into actually there should be one right there because this section always gets flooded. But the other two pipes I'm walking up Ralph Drive. The other two pipes that it goes into, one is right here, and I can't tell if it's filled up or not. I can't tell if that's filled up or not. But the water runs down the street into the pipe, across the street, and into that little pond area that is flooded. I'm going to put this on pause for a minute. Because I'm walking down to the other drain that I know is plugged up. Oh, by the way, I'm right now on at 123 Ralph Drive. 123 Ralph Drive is at Penny, Wayne, and Ralph. Let me put this on pause. This is on play again. Okay, here we go. Here is the little dam that they built. Actually, it's an overflow. And it skims the top of the water off into the creek that eventually makes its way down to Lake Johnson and eventually goes into the Neuse. This is the stormwater detention pond. The purpose of a stormwater detention pond is sure hold some water back, but also it's supposed to keep the pollutants running from downstream. The pollutants are supposed to, they set on the top of the water, and after a couple days they slowly, when I say pollutants, I'm talking about fertilizers, oils, garbage, trash from the streets, from the runoffs. It's supposed to settle down, and it settles down to probably this point right here, which is the deepest part of the pond. This is the part that needs to be dredged periodically, maybe once every 3 years, to get rid of the pollutants. It's not an easy task, and but if they don't ever dredge this here pollutants, which they haven't as long as I've been here, it'll continue to gather more and more pollutants. And eventually, I don't know if you can see, there is a drain. Things are pretty blurry. I'm having problems with my camera. There's a drain there. Eventually this will fill up with pollutants higher than the drain, so if they ever have to open that drain valve, they'll get nothing but polluted water heading directly to Lake Johnson, our drinking supply system, and directly into creeks and beds that feed all kinds of wildlife. Okay, as I'm walking here, here's another problem. this problem here, and I've told the town many times. Here's another inlet. There's a pipe somewhere back in here. If I don't fall into it, because I can't see it anymore. It's been so much overgrowth. Okay, there's a pipe in there. That's supposed to be a clean, clear pipe, but it's now nothing but mud, muck, and filled up. This is supposed to be flowing heavy with water, which no longer is. And it's supposed to be pushing the water in the corner over here with forceful water. As you can see, the only thing you see is cans and straws and junk. Okay, from here it goes across the street. Now this is being supplied from across the street, and this is where I live. I'm walking across the street, and this address is 104 Ralph Drive, on the corner of Earnhardt and Ralph Drive. These two drains, the one on the left right here, goes across the street to the one on the right, which you can't see right now, but I can see. Maybe if I zoom in there. Now you can't see. It's plugged up because from here over across the street, that little corner over there, the pipe has roots growing into it, and the pipe is cracked. The town has known about this now for 15 years. I tried to have them replace this pipe, the broken pipe, and it's right here in this section. I can tell you the exact spot. They tried to roll the router it out a couple times with no avail, and it's still plugged up. So after complaining for 15 years, I got tired of complaining, but now it's come to the point where it's so bad it needs to be brought to many people's attention. The town of Cary is not doing their job, and if they expect Maynard's Homeowners Association to upkeep this lake like we're supposed to, how can we upkeep this lake if the town of Cary can't even maintain the drainage system going into the lake? And this really upsets me. And this is at 104. Both of these drains on both sides get filled up with polluted, filled up. It doesn't even drain. It just goes right down past both these drains, right into the creek that feeds Lake Johnson, where Lake Johnson, I'm sure, would rather it go into the pond to be rid of the pollutants and fertilizers like it was designed. But once again, the town of Cary is not doing the job. There is one more drain all the way across the other side of the pond, where I'm going to have to get to tomorrow to show you pictures of that drain that's broken. As I'm speaking, there's thousands, millions, hundreds, thousands of mosquitoes flying all around my head. This is the first time I've ever seen that. Every time I walk out of the house, thousands of mosquitoes, millions of mosquitoes on my screens. And this is my home at 104 Ralph Drive. You can't hardly see it. It's getting dark. So, the town of Cary needs to step their game up. The Coronado Village Homeowners Association needs to be aware of this, which I've tried to make them aware of this many times. And they keep talking about dredging the mouth of the river, which is not the problem. That's not what needs to be dredged. And I'm starting to repeat myself because I'm getting frustrated. But maybe frustration is what somebody needs to hear to get any action. That's why I'm going to send this tape and all the other tapes that I made in the rain to every department, every entity, every government agency, every wildlife foundation, every volunteer Neuse River Basin volunteers that want clean water. I'm going to send them all a thumb drive of this video and the videos I made of the rainwater. And tomorrow I'll pick up on the last drain. This is going to be going to the town. This is going to be going to the mayor, the town manager, water department, oh God, I can't remember, erosion control department, drain system department. We're paying these people a lot of money. They can figure this out. Okay. And the new green generation is on board. So let's see if they could have some input. If they want a clean environment, let's start here at the Coronado Village Maynard Pond Water Detention Pond, Stormwater Detention Pond. Over and out. (10:04). This is the morning or the afternoon. It's about 11 o'clock of the next day. I'm going to try to shed some sunlight on this mouth of the stormwater detention pond. If I could pan slowly. Anyway, yesterday it was green. Now today, about 10 hours later, it turns brown. Still no bubbles, very foul odor, very, very nasty. You see all kinds of junk on top. It's a real putrid smell. Those are just dead. I'm so disgusted. You have no idea how disgusted I am. All the years living here, I've never, ever seen it this bad. The town of Cary, I'm sure, is not aware of this problem. This is an easy fix. Oh, look at that. I do see one duck. Let me see if I can zoom in on that duck. Oh, there it is. I have no idea what he's eating. I don't know if ducks eat food, but there used to be a whole lot of them. I don't know if ducks eat fish, I have no clue. But he's waiting, waddling. In that wall of sludge. Not very happy duck. Not quack, quack, quack. And today I'm going to do one last part to finish off this video. This is a travesty. And hopefully I gave enough suggestions on how it could be repaired. And there's so much junk and bottles in this little mouth of the pond. A bottle there, can there. It's really disgusting. And as you can see, no bubbles. No fish bubbles. No turtle bubbles. Sure is a shame. Such a good neighborhood, such a beautiful pond. Dying. With all the ecological professionals ignoring this problem. Is a shame. Hopefully these videos are not meant to hurt anybody. These videos are meant to help everybody and understand the purpose of this pond and how it's being destroyed. Over and out. I got one more section to do on the other side of the pond, and that should wrap it up. And I'm going to send this information off to hopefully some people that could correct the problem, look into it, and help us. Help the town, help the Noose, help Lake Johnson, and help all these beautiful creatures that we love so much. Over and out. Okie dokie. I'm on the opposite side of the pond. And all the way across there is my house. No wildlife. No ducks. No geese. No swans. No egrets. Nothing. The reason why I'm over here on this side of the pond is because this is one of the last obstacles that I know of. I'm sure the engineers could figure out a few more to help. The last obstacle is this pipe, drain pipe right here, where you can see it's broken entering the pond. And of course, with that broken pipe sitting there, it's going to stop the flow from flowing really forceful. Ponds need flow. It's just not getting it. So this is the only one I believe on this side. I'm going to shoot over here. Brown mucky mess. Once again, no bubbles, maybe very few bubbles, and they're probably turtles or something like that. I do see a few turtles now and then. This is not the pond it once was. This is not the pond it once was at all. Phew, it stinks so bad. Phew. And they have a nice sign saying, no fishing. Actually, they should have a sign saying, sorry, no fish. And of course the town put these here lights that blink at nighttime. It's supposed to keep the geese away. But lately the geese haven't even been wanting to be in this pond. They're not even enjoying it. Well, that's about all I could say for now. And once again, I hope the town of Cary, or anybody seeing these videos, will get down to the root source of the problem. I'm just a regular patron trying to pass this off, because I love my pond, I love nature, and I hate what's happening to this destruction. You hear nothing, no creatures, no animals, nothing. It saddens me, it breaks my heart. Okay, I have to make one correction, which I'm going to do in a minute. I used two homes that I referred to as Walnut Street. I'm going to go back to those homes. Actually, those two homes that they built are on Ralph Drive, and I'm going to go back and correct that. But here we go. Let me zoom over here. Yep. Another bottle. More trash underneath there. The water's just not moving. There's no... Over and out. Oh, and by the way, the drain I was just looking at is coming from here. It goes from this pipe to this pipe, and then down here. And on this here little sign, it says, report stormwater pollution, keep clean and clear, drains to creek. Posted right on top of this pipe cover. This goes right across the street, right into where I was standing where that pipe was busted. So they put signs, keep the drains clean. I think that would be a nice job to have, putting little signs on drain covers saying keep clean and not doing anything about it, and then going back to the office and chilling out the rest of the day. Not making fun of the town of Cary. Let me go back and correct those two addresses. Now, I just discovered something here. Anyway, here's two more drains here. There's two more drains here, flowing from this side of the street. What street? This is on Warren Avenue. Warren Avenue. The address is 403 Warren Avenue. Okay, you have water flowing all the way down off of Walnut down into Warren, right into this pipe here, and it swings over here to the pipe right next to it. Then from this pipe here, it shoots right across the street. So it's supposed to be mad water rushing down here from both sides of Warren, coming over here to this spot. And by the way, if you notice, I'm breathing quite shallow. I just had a lung operation. They removed part of my lung. I had like a lobe taken out. Okay, so I'm not breathing hard because I'm overweight. Here is the pipe that is feeding off these two drains, and I had to uncover it. Here we go. I'm going to zoom in on that little pipe. It should be about a 15-inch pipe. This pipe is completely plugged up. Not only plugged up, but so much growth around it, you can't even see the pipe. So, this is ridiculous. Actually ridiculous. To have a pipe here hello? To have a pipe here that is completely plugged up.
Oh.
And you have two drains here.
Oh, the drainage, yes.
That is supposed to flow nice and fast into this water, into the pond. And this will be the this will be the fifth drain that I found that it's been plugged up.
It's bad around here, yeah.
Let me correct this again. I am on Ralph Drive. These are the two homes they built recently. And behind these homes is that tiny little creek. And these addresses again are 505 Ralph Drive. And the other address right next to it is 503 Ralph Drive. Yesterday I had said they were on Walnut Street. So I've probably made a couple of other errors, but I think everyone will get the main idea of the destruction of Main Palm stormwater drainage system. Over and out, everybody. This is my last video. I hope somebody will get a handle on it and fix the problem. I surely do, because I can't do it myself, and neither can the homeowners association, because it's not on their not their jobs to clean out the town of Cary's drainage system. Once again, they expect us to maintain the pond, but if the town of Cary can't even maintain the drains feeding the pond, it's going to be impossible for us to maintain the pond and keep the town beautiful, and that's what we all want in the long run. Have a blessed day, everybody. I'm back here at the park. I'm going to take one last shot of this drain here. I'm going to kind of zoom in on that a little bit. But this drain is completely filled up with nothing. And this drain is supposed to go again through there, through the rocks, underneath the bridge, underneath the other bridge, and around through the filtration system into those woods that are protected by the natural resources. I'm going to try to explain this again. So it bypasses this drain all the way from Walnut Street all the way down here, completely bypassing this drain, going around the corner here. The water rushes down this curb and enters this park, winds up and washes all that mud that's not being stopped, all that mud and all that junk, then from there slowly goes into the wooded section and slowly picking up all this mud on its way. Sure, they could berm up the park, put silt fences in, but it's doing absolutely no good because all this mud is just being washed into our lake before it even gets to the park. So, over and out.